Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela might be the most admiring statesman in history since Second World War. He was born 18 June 1919 in a small village called Veso, east in South Africa. Nelson Mandela educated as a lawyer in Johannesburg. After his graduation, he started the first black law office in South Africa with his friend Oliver Tambo. In 1942, Mandela joined the ANC, the African National Congress. 2 years later, he started the ANC's youth organization with Walter Sisulu, Oliver Tambo, William Nkomo, and Anton Lembede. The organization tried to convince the country's white politicians that apartheid was wrong. They also started a mass rebellion to force the authorities to negotiate. Although the ANC's strategy was non-violent, the mass actions had big costs. Many were arrested and some were even killed and wounded when the police and the army were set up against the protesters and the strikers. The Sharpeville massacre in 1960 got Mandela and other central politicians in the ANC to give up hope of non-violent resistance. ANC started the underground army Umkhonto weSizwe, also known as MK. Mandela went underground and mobilized the military battle. In 1963, he was sentenced to life-lasting prison for armed rebellion after the police had found MK's headquarters. Together with the other ANC leaders, Mandela was sent to the prison Robben Island outside Cape Town, where he stayed for the next 18 years. In 1982, he was transferred to another prison called Pollsmoor Prison, where he stayed until he got released in 1990. Despite 27 years in prison, it was clear that he was neither bitter or relentless. In June 1991, he was elected deputy leader of the ANC, and in 1993 he received the Nobel Peace Prize. In April 1994, he was elected South Africa's president in the country's first democratic election, an election in which he voted for the first time himself. He was president until 1998, before he retired. He has later used many occasions to highlight this tragedy for South Africa and internationally. 4664 was Nelson Mandela's prisoner number, and it is also the title that many concerts used to raise funds for HIV and AIDS work. On the 11th of June 2005, a charity concert was held in Tromsø in Norway, where Mandela himself had made a long trip north. The struggle for civil rights and against racism has been one of the most important movements of the 20th century. All Nelson Mandela's hard work led to the first free elections in South Africa's history and formal abolition of apartheid in 1994. In this movement, 3 figures stand out: Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and of course Nelson Mandela. They are from 3 different continents and very different social backgrounds, but they have a lot in common. For example, all 3 of them use non-violent methods, and they all have been in jail. Both Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela won the Nobel Peace Prize. Finally, the most important thing, they all fought against racism and the division between whites and blacks. Nelson Mandela lived a long life, and he got 95 years old before he died 5th December 2013 in Johannesburg.